Ready? Live.
Welcome to the Three-Man Weave College Basketball Podcast. Yes, March is here. It is March 1st, fellas. Gosh, it's incredible. You know, the months, they fly by. They go faster and faster. Every year we get older. Can you believe it? We're back again talking the NCAA tournament. Of course, we're talking conference tournaments before that. The 32 different events leading up to the main event. Jim and Matt are here. I'm Kai. I'm your host for the evening. We are live on YouTube. If you haven't checked us out live on YouTube, you can. We have a channel, Three-Man Weave. You can find it through, well, our Twitter link or searching YouTube. Really searching YouTube. It's kind of hard to find. We apologize for that. But anyways, welcome if you're on Apple, Spotify, wherever. Good show today. Roots Roundup. Weave saw that. And then, like I said at the beginning, conference tournament deep dives. Jim, Matt, how's it going? I'm going to start with Jim. He's in Chicago, pretty close to where I am right now. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm reeling from taking an L in our chili cook-off, Kai. You dominated, you conquered. I did not place in the top three. Unconventional chili didn't play up well this year. That's okay. I'm going to be joining Matt in the western part of the United States come next week. So I think next Weave pod, I will be in PST with Mateo. A little bit of time in Vegas, actually a lot of time in Vegas, a little bit in Palm Springs. Going to be a nice little March, very busy. But Kai, we've got plenty of hoops to chat first. Matt, what about you? How's your new Cali abode?
It's great. The weather's kind of trash. Like, I mean, relatively. I want to be respectful for my Chicago brethren, but yeah, like came out here expecting some high 60s, low 70s at min. Russ, my fellow LA based folk, what's up with the low 50s, high 40s wind, etc. Not into it, but not going to complain, Jim. The grass is always greener on your side of the fence. That's what I was told as a kid.
Yeah, that is the saying. The grass is always greener on your side of the fence. That's a good way to look at it, Matt. Optimistic, glass half full attitude. We are on Instagram, guys, at 3MW_CBB. Our follower count has actually increased a little bit on that, despite our lack of content. Had some free content today from BetQL. They tagged us and we retweeted it or regrammed it, whatever you call it. So yeah, that helps out. Follow us there. Follow us on Twitter, 3MW_CBB. That's where we tweet out all of our links for our shows and our writing and all that good stuff. Do leave us a review if you would be so kind on Apple or Spotify or wherever. I don't know if you can leave reviews on Spotify, but I know you can on Apple. The 5 stars are the best kind. We do have one new review from an old friend, Brew City 77. It is called Hilltop Hijinks. He asks, too soon for another review? This is the best college basketball podcast. No one knows and covers more, from the high majors to the Cinderellas and everyone in between. He says there's lots of talk about Patrick Ewing getting fired, but might that create institutional complications? Georgetown won their only title in 1984 with star big man Ewing and legendary coach John Thompson. That means next year should be the ongoing celebration of the 40th anniversary of that championship. Having already fired Big John's son, do they want to double down by firing the star of that team? How would that reunion go? But if he stays, would Ewing get booed at celebrations meant largely for him? How do you see this playing out on the hilltop? Matt?
Yeah, I just want to pause real quick. I love that there's a guy out there who's still disinvested in Georgetown hoops. Like, it seems like they've basically hemorrhaged like 80% of their fans with the last 5 seasons. So props to Brew City 77 Hilltop, diehards out there that are still digging in every day. I have no earthly idea what the hell happens with this program or with this situation. Just happy to see some on the Hilltop still loyal and invest in the program. So cheers to you.
Did you see who the rumor was today? Just a little rumor, definitely not ironclad, but I saw some Bray to St. John's things, which would take him out of the running for Georgetown, obviously. I think Pitino is certainly going to be in play there. I think it's worth moving on from Ewing for the betterment of the program. Even with this consideration, I don't think you can decide the future of a massive program based on honoring the 40th anniversary. So I think you gotta move on from Mr. Ewing. I mean, they changed every guy on the staff last year and they still suck. So who else can you get rid of?
And I think it'll be a quote unquote mutual decision. I don't think they're going to fire Ewing. I think they're going to say, hey man, can you just step down so we can keep this civil behind the scenes sort of thing. Like Ewing steps down as coach of Georgetown, not Ewing is fired, I think is how it's going to go.
Ewing is shit canned as coach. Yeah, yes. much more PR massaged message.
I bet Pitino gets Georgetown.
Yeah.
Ooh,
That's
bet
where
he
I would
does.
go if I had to bet it. Yep.
Yeah, that's my wager there. Personal corner. Yeah, Matt's in California. The guy is globetrotting around the United States. He was in Florida. He's now in Cali. He's going to join us in Nevada pretty soon. We're going down to Houston later on. Heck, I'm going to New York for a weekend as well. It's crazy. We're everywhere. Three-man weave. The month of March is a busy time for us.
Yes.
Jim, he's heading out west as well later next week. Excuse me. We do have t-shirts for sale there through Home Field Apparel, who is awesome. I'll read an ad for them in a bit. You can find that link at the top of our site, 3-man-weave.com. Not a lot of traffic on that site recently. We haven't wrote a whole lot of stuff this year. We apologize. Busy elsewhere. Busy, getting paid for our writing instead of just doing it for free. That does it for the intro. Let's get into the show. It's going to be a good one. Roots Roundup.
That's right, Kai. We're talking Roots Roundup, but of course you alluded to it. We got to give our shout to our friends at Home Field, of which I am repping their gear.
As am I. I'm actually wearing a Pitt shirt. Shout out Pitt. I did give them a little jab today on the live show, but I love their logo and their colors. They're great. Home Field, if you haven't heard of them, they make awesome college apparel for schools everywhere in the United States. It doesn't matter if it's Power 5 or even Division 3. They probably have your school on a shirt. If they don't, you can always ask them to at Home Field Apparel, APPARL on Twitter. They just released limited editions of USC and UCLA. Their UCLA gear is pretty top notch, if I have to say so myself. If I was a bigger fan, I would purchase about every single item. Oh, also, I went broke by purchasing every single Mizzou item they have in stock. Their designs really are the best. They do their research too. They search through your school archives to figure out what's really meaningful to your school. They don't just slap on a name or slap on a random saying. They make it personal, and that's why I like Home Field Apparel. You can get 15% off the most comfy collegiate gear you'll ever own by going to homefieldapparel.com today and using our promo code 3MW at checkout. That is Home Field. Wear one for the team.
Lovely, Kai. Well done. Well executed. Main storyline, we just got to give a little quick update on the Alabama situation because they made the news once again. And that was by Brandon Miller doing a pat down intro during the start of the last game over the weekend. It's so wildly tone deaf to do that, especially when like the whole case is, Brandon Miller has great judgment. It was just a wrong place, wrong time thing. I know that they were doing this all season, but there's just no way that you can logically think this is not going to stir the pot. It's not going to antagonize people. It's so easy to not make this a bigger story than it is. I mean, Matt, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if they had like a water gun fight in the locker room after they won the SEC. Like that's how completely brain dead they are to the message they're sending.
Yeah, I've been more on the fence of like, let's move on from this, but I get it. I do. I'm not trying to be insensitive whatsoever here. It's one of those things where like, I mean, Jim, what was your, you came off the bench. I was a bench warmer as well. Kai, you started a little bit. What was your pregame starting thing? What was your handshake at the end of the line?
I'm a bit of an X-Men fan.
That's
if
right,
you guys
you're
are
X-Men
familiar, and I like Iceman.
That's
He was my favorite growing up, so I did a little Iceman thing. It worked.
Oh yeah. Actually, that was cute.
Yes.
Point being, the TSA pat down is like probably the most common starting lineup thing out there, right? Like that's I think 40% of
It is quite common.
Players use some variation of that.
Yes.
I just want to throw it out there. It's a real.
I don't think that matters. I think if you have been involved in a gun crime, doing a pat down is idiotic. It's so easy to not do that. There are a million other ones. I don't feel bad for them at this situation. They are bringing a lot of the negative press on themselves.
It's funny that he said, "Oh, it's like TSA when you get church before a plane." It's like, huh? How many times do you put your hands behind your head and get pat down going on a plane?
Yeah, that's like that. The metal detectors do that work for you. It's very rare that it's actually manual touching. So, regardless,
I'm laughing at I'm thinking of the old school Luke Farrell when he walks, or Luke Wilson, not Luke Farrell.
I hope to not have an Alabama update next podcast because they will have not done anything to get on the wrong side of society. So don't do that, Alabama. Coaching news, a lot to discuss here in the SEC, especially Ole Miss has parted ways with Kermit Davis. He is gonzo. The interim coach, heck of a name, Win Case, a longtime Kermit Davis assistant. He's taken over. This sounded, it was a firing, but I think Davis kind of like said, yep, I understand where this is going. Let's just split it now. let the guys have a chance to rally without me to end the year, and then you could start moving on in terms of player retention / acquisition. And Kai, that churn has already started with their recruit process.
Yeah, they lost 2 4-stars. Might get them back, of course, but first of all, kind of rare for Ole Miss to be getting 4-stars in general with the competition. And that point guard, Josh Hubbard, that decommitted, all-time leading scorer in Ole Miss high school history. That guy has got some goods to him. Hopefully they can get him back, or he'll go elsewhere, go to a better school.
Yeah, maybe he'll cross the picket line over to the other side of the Egg Bowl and go to play for Mr. Jans at Mississippi State. They certainly could use some offense. Matt, any candidates for this job particularly intriguing to you? I have seen Dusty May. I have seen Will Wade. I have seen Patino again for this one. I have seen Chris Beard. What is your thoughts?
I think Dusty may stay in the FAU. That's what I've heard. The others are awesome names. I guess if you're an Ole Miss fans, you said yes to all those names, right? None of those names deterred you. I guess maybe with the Chris Beard baggage, if you're worried about that, fair. Tough place to win. I think it's maybe one of the worst 3 programs in the SEC. But at this point, every program in the SEC is a good program because the money that they're reeling in, even being the smartest kindergartner gym, is still good in the SEC. So I think it's a great job just because it's in the SEC, but relative to the SEC cohorts, it's one of the worst, toughest jobs, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting how they turn that over. I mean, last year there were 6 SEC jobs that changed hands. This will probably be the only one, Kai, so they have kind of their pick of the litter, but it might be a little bit picked over considering what happened last year.
I can see Chris Beard. If I had to guess one name, it'd be Beard.
Yeah, I think they want to win. I think they want to win.
Mm-hmm.
So him or Wade makes a lot of sense, especially because what Wade did is now basically legal.
Yeah, right.
Kind of look what happened with Samson after he went somewhere after
right.
What he did was illegal, and then now it's fine, and he's back to dominating. Idaho also parted ways with their coach Zach Klaus. It was like 20 to 30 minutes after they finished their final game of the regular season. Fairly cold-hearted. Kai, the announcement on Twitter happened via Mr. Jeff Goodman while you were on air with him. How about that?
Yeah, while hosting the Sirius XM show, I noticed Goodman was really distracted for like 15 minutes, like looking at his phone and like not really paying attention to what I was saying. I was kind of rambling. It's like, what the hell is he doing? And yeah, he was breaking the Zach Klaus news. I guess he knew about it for a long time. He was just waiting to see if he could release it. I think Klaus knew pregame. Tough place to win. What can you say?
Yeah, I saw somebody making the case that Idaho actually has pretty strong resources for the Big Sky.
It's a good program. Yeah.
Really good football program. Yeah.
So I wonder if we see some sort of surge there. I mean, Klaus was hired after Verlin was let go, and Verlin actually did some winning there.
Yes.
So this was like a in-house recycling hire almost, and sometimes those don't go as well. So they'll be back in the market. I want to mention Pat Kelsey got a long extension at Charleston too, I think through 2030. At least $1 million a year, maybe a little more than $1 million a year.
Yeah, doubled his like incentive compensation or something like that. The guy got paid.
Yes, which is not an ironclad guarantee that he'll be back. I'm sure other people are going to be looking into him. I do think, and I made this case, I think on other shows, that if he wanted to, Charleston has the following resources, et cetera, to be a somewhat junior Gonzaga in the Southeast. Like people love that 100%. Program. They host the big MTE there every year, so we can get at least some decent games usually via that. And the article I wrote in the offseason about budgets, Charleston is like the highest in the CAA. So I could see that becoming a bit of a juggernaut.
And who says they don't move to a better league in a couple of years? It's happening all the time now. And heck, it's a cool place to live, I hear. We'll be there in May to celebrate Matthew. Can't wait.
Yeah, Maddie bachelor party. That's going to be fun. The Charleston
we need to have a Pat Kelsey meet and greet experience on the bachelor party.
Maybe he'd come. He seems like a fun guy. I think he might come throw a couple beers back with us. Yeah.
Can we borrow polos from him? The ones that just really hug the biceps.
XXS polos. Yeah.
Yeah. He's in pretty good shape too.
We'll be looking good. Last thing to mention I guess 2 more little minor mentions here. Fran McCaffrey had a fun little stare down with a Big Ten referee against Michigan State over the weekend. Kai, I think it is laughable to watch that, but I also can't deny that they have been dominant since that moment. So did he fire up his team?
Yeah, if you guys haven't watched the video of Fran McCaffrey literally staring down a ref, it was a good 30 seconds, I would say. And then he kept like stepping closer to him. The ref stared right back at him.
I wanted him to kiss.
Yeah,
I really wanted him to.
I don't know how he didn't get a technical. I'll be honest. If staring down at the ref like that isn't showing the ref up and worthy of a technical, I'm not really sure what is. I think the ref should tee him up. I know I would have.
Intimidation is in the rule too. Like,
yeah,
clearly trying to intimidate the guy.
kudos to the ref, I guess, for having a cool head. But I mean, he would have been gone if I was reffing that game, Jim. Tell you that much.
Yeah, and I mean, you are a take no shit type of guy,
Right.
So I know that.
Reffing's really hard, really hard.
Yeah,
I reffed our charity club basketball tournament that we tried to put on to raise some money. Oh, I got yelled at so much. I've never reffed before, so it was impossible. It's so hard.
Yep, I reffed like 3rd through 5th grade, mostly girls, a little bit of boys. And yeah, I mean, it was people yelling at me for calling travels or to call travels. And I'm like, I can't call a travel on every play. Try to only call the travel if it like directly leads to a basket. I don't know. It's a mess. It is a challenging task. And people that haven't done it probably don't realize how hard it is. I still think block charges could be better, but hey, that's fine. Weird situation with Mr. McCaffrey there. Last thing to mention, Bill Self just clinched at least a share of his 17th Big 12 title in 20 years. If TCU beats Texas tonight, it will be an outright title. Or if Kansas beats Texas this weekend, it will be another outright title. Just absolutely absurd regular season dominance from the Jayhawks. I mean, this is what every blue blood wants and expects when they hire a coach. And Self's done it. Two national titles, constant dominance in the regular season. Matt, we just got to tip our cap to him, don't we?
We do. Sorry, I'm a little bit distracted trying to think of big question in the chat. What would be my last coach invited in my bachelor party list? So a lot of names to consider. So that's where my head was at. But yeah, I was telling my brother, like, Bill Self this year, like, maybe a better coaching job than last year. I know the landscape around the top of the totem pole isn't as strong, but like, what else does he have to do? I mean, he's beaten how many good teams this season? It's just insane. It's not an overly deep team. It's not a team littered with 5 stars. They have 1 5-star. You know, he's got that 4-star, 3-star. He's adapting to the times. He adapts year to year. He's just good. I feel bad for, Mizzou fans or other Big 12 fans that have to live up to his standard. And obviously with the FBI thing that was swept under the rug, I understand the frustration. I get it.
Matt, can I submit someone for last candidate just because he scares me and I don't really know what kind of vibe he'd bring? Is Sean Woods. I don't want somebody that's going to punch me in the face on your bachelor party.
He was really cool when I talked to him on the phone. I feel like he's turned over a new leaf, Jim. I was very pleasantly surprised by the vibes we got when we chit-chatted for, a whopping 10 minutes this summer.
Ted says Boeheim in the chat. I actually think Boeheim would be a great time.
Fun.
I think he would not care. He would tell you every dirty detail of every single aspect. And he'd be
like a pinata friend who is just like that takes all the jokes, so we just all be making fun of Boeheim the whole time. Like you kind of use him as
he'd give it right back.
Yeah, he'd probably dish it right back.
Jerome Tang giving you a lecture before every beer you open. Actually, kind of a valid point. I think that's good, Ben Snyder. Yes. Good shout out to you in the chat.
That's good.
All right, we'll move on from coaching news. Matt, if you come up with an even better answer later in the pod, just let us know.
Yeah, we got a lot of runway left, of course.
Yep. Very little happening in recruiting besides those Ole Miss recruits decommitting. Virginia Tech got a 2024 4-star small forward, AJ Swinton, kind of outside the top 100, so not going to spend much time on it. Transfer news, Matt, your boy, Winnie the Bear, Winston Tabbs, Winnie the Pooh, he is leaving East Carolina, his second school. He was at Boston College previously. He's now headed to Morgan State. Kai immediately made a terrific 7th Woods joke in our group chat. Defend that. Why are you offended by that?
Because Winston Tabbs good, 7th Woods isn't good. There's a difference between the two players. Winston Tabbs hasn't been good because he's been hurt. He's the best that never was. There'll be a documentary, wasn't there a 30 for 30, the best that never was, about a stud high school football player? There's going to be a part 2 to be Winston Tabbs, who I swear is awesome when healthy, which he'll never be, but he's awesome.
He's fine.
He's awesome.
Yep. All right. That's it for transfer news. Injuries. I'm just kind of terrified for Zakai Ziegler of Tennessee, having watched him go down with a non-contact knee. It wasn't the most major buckle I've ever seen like even Mike Miles' knee looked worse to me and he ended up coming back. So perhaps there's hope for Ziegler, but we have not gotten news on the word of his MRI/scan that they said they're going to give him. And he was feeling it. I think he was tearing up a little bit, knew that it could be serious. Kai, how does that affect your view of Tennessee's ceiling going forward, given that he is on the National Defensive Player of the Year semifinalist list and is said to be their heart and soul?
Yeah, it has to affect their ceiling for sure. So hopefully it's not season ending. If it is, you get even less confident in Rick Barnes in March, which has been a thing lately. He's only made it out of the first weekend once, I think, at Tennessee in 4 tries, and they've been a high seed every single time.
Yeah, this coach bachelor party storyline might be a whole off-season topic. We might go through all 363 and power rank them. So
I'll say Tennessee real quick. Tennessee was like going to be the hardest team to peg in like any tournament ever, because I do think they are all the way legit, but with a really, really, really low floor. So wherever they land, the guy that picked them to go far will be his chest. The guy who picked him to go one and done when they lose first round will be his chest. There's no way to know. It's complete variance written. That team frustrates me. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan without Ziegler. I don't think they can create shots, and they already had issues with that before. So we'll see. Waiting to see. Still hoping for the best for him, though. Would like to see him out there. No suspensions. Hey, how about that? That's exciting. Other random news and notes to get to. Just have to mention it because if it doesn't make you smile and chuckle a little bit, then you're too sad. The halftime show of the Frisbee dog, relatively famous, maybe not quite as much as Red Panda, but the dog that just kind of runs wind sprints back and forth, catching long Frisbee tosses, even more impressive on a football field. That dog took a poop on the Louisville court during halftime this week, just as it was coming off the court. Took a nice little dookie as it headed out. Matt, is that not the most representative thing of the Cardinals season this year?
Yeah, and just you hate to see the trainer misread that. You got to take care of the business, Kai. Pups are pretty regimented, I've learned. So I think that's a big. I wonder if that trainer's on the hot seat to be replaced. I do. I think he might be more. His job security is probably more unstable than Kenny Payne's right now.
When's the last time George has taken a dookie in your house, Matthew?
He actually hasn't in 5 months. Yeah, he's rock solid on potty training. Yeah,
it's a good boy.
He's good.
That's
boy.
really surprising for constantly changing what your house is, like where it's not a familiar territory.
He's very adaptable. So. He's on his toes. He's good. He gets it. He's razor sharp.
Good stuff out of Georgie. Out of boy. Kai, let's get a couple of Reddit stats of the day. Oh, I'm calling him Georgie, and you better deal with it. Kai, Reddit stats of the day. Let's get to that.
First one is from a Twitter DM from John Ezekowitz. Kendrick Davis became the all-time American leading scorer, American AAC, the conference, with 1,910 points last week, excluding his TCU points. Okay, this is just American scoring. He eclipsed Quentin Rose. Interestingly, while the AAC has been around for a decade, they have never had a 2,000-point scorer. Kendrick Davis could be the first to do it. Go Kendrick.
Yeah, I mean, Kendrick. Do we asterisk all these guys that are doing it in their 5th year? I don't know. Maybe
I think
the Antoine Davis scoring record. He's played 6. Yes. Did you see the Jared Burson stat, by the way?
No.
He needs 25 points to break Pistol Pete's record. He needs 2,197 to break his points per game record. He has to score 2,200 points in a game to get his points per game over where Pete is at.
It's pretty shocking. Yes.
I started gunning.
Reddit Saturday Part 2 from username Moose4KU. Kansas has won on Senior Day for the 40th consecutive season. The last time they lost was 1983 on a Senior Day. That's a pretty good streak. I'll tip my cap to that one.
All right, Senior Day 2024. We're throwing them on every bet, that money line, to get the juice down on every single bet we do, because they're not losing 40 for 40. It's too consistent. There's no way that catches up to us and bites us. That's for sure. All right, Kai, that's Roots Roundup. Let's get to you for We Saw That.
We saw that. Well, we're going to start with Antoine Davis because he is within 25 points of tying Pistol Pete after scoring 38 in the first round of the Horizon. Next up is Youngstown. He scores 26 points. He breaks the record. Does he do it, Jim?
Yes, I think he gets it done. That's not a good defensive team. Should be a relatively up and down game despite being in the tournament. Yeah, I think he is going to set it and will not have to worry about whether they beat Youngstown or not.
Over. 1/3 down 20. He's just going to start gunning, right?
Are there prop totals on this?
No, I was just saying over for the game. Yeah, there's probably an over Davis prop total. Yes. I bet they shaved that way up though. Like, didn't Lillard score? He scored 71, and they had the prop total for like 40 points next game or something. It's insane. I don't know.
Yeah,
player props.
Overreactions
for the wave, probably.
Player props apparently very easy to beat. Something we have not gone into yet. Second one from Weave Saw That. Holy buzzer beaters, guys! There was a ton this week. I I tried to write down as many as I could find, along with Jim writing down a few of these as well. Perhaps the best, I will say, definitely the best. Arizona State's Desmond Cambridge hit a 60-footer to beat Arizona in Tucson. Incredible. And Matt, that actually got them inside the bubble, or inside the tournament in a lot of bracketologists' opinions after that shot.
It was awesome. He also, the Cambridge to Cambridge connection on possession, I think a couple before, where they got the O board scramble and Desmond hit the big bucket, I think, to tie it. Insane game. It wouldn't be an NCAA tournament March bracketology season without Bobby Hurley floating on said bubble. So I'm glad
Right.
that history continues to rerun itself. That's fun.
Has he been in Dayton twice, 3 times?
Him and Enfield both twice, I thought.
And Dayton hasn't been around very long. The first 4 hasn't been around very long.
He's consistent. We say the Enfield zone is between 40 and 60 in Ken Pom.
Yeah.
Dayton is the new Bobby Hurley city.
Yeah, exactly. Hunter Dickinson hit a 3-pointer about 30 feet out to tie Wisconsin. Michigan went in overtime.
Ooh,
Wisconsin
can I
had
do
like
a quick tangent on the Cambridge one. I forgot about
yes.
this. If you're up 1 and there's 2 seconds on the clock and the other team doesn't have a timeout, do not make that free throw.
Yeah.
The other team isn't going to be able to shoot a 2 anyway. So there's no benefit between being up 1 and 2.
Yep.
And Umar Ballo hit that free throw to go up 2, let them kind of set something up.
So dumb.
And they were able to, I mean, look, it was a 60-footer. It still likely shouldn't go in, but
yeah,
making that free throw was maddening to me.
Jim, great call. We should have talked to Kai. We'll see Tommy Lloyd at the MAC events this year. No, actually, we probably won't, because
we saw him last year. Yeah,
he's going to lose coach of the year because of that exact debacle. Yeah, just a hard blinded off the front of the rim, just a little scuffle, and then it's over.
Ironically, Ballow's a terrible free throw shooter, so
he had
a good shot at missing it anyways.
Yep.
Yeah, so like I said, Dickinson forced overtime. Apparently, Wisconsin had like a 99% win percentage in that game, like expected win percentage. Yikes, kind of blew that one. Justin Betts had a game winner for Bellarmine against North Florida in the ASUN tourney. We love tournament buzzer beaters, the best kind. Bowden Skungberg, bet you guys never heard of that guy's name, from North Dakota State. He downed Western Illinois on a buzzer beater. Lamont Butler basically ripped New Mexico's heart out by hitting a buzzer beater against New Mexico at the pit, Jim, basically ending New Mexico's hopes for an at-large.
Yeah, Kai, we were joking about this on Fielding the 68. Andy Bottoms was like, that was the most nonchalant, huge buzzer beater, massive swing for both teams in terms of Mountain West title, New Mexico's chances of getting in. Like, the defense was really casual. He walked up to it really casual. I was like, I played pickup games where next bucket wins is a war.
Yeah.
And this was like a last second buzzer beater of a huge high level game. And there's just kind of like, all right, go where you want, shoot where you want. Oh, you made it. Darn. It was so weird.
Yeah. Come on, New Mexico. Come on.
A couple of real quick, Kai. We should probably put Max Rice on this, who had the 12-0 personal run, including one of the most insane, like, he hit the rafters on a step back 3 and then banked it in from almost the corner, then had like the steal on the run out for layup. It was like plays going absolutely insane. Shouts to Max Rice after the Butler thing you just mentioned. Also want to quickly just take a quick snapshot at the Mountain West standings. You'll find San Jose State is 9-8. You'll find New Mexico is 8-9. You'll find UNLV is 6-10. Colorado State is 5-12. Wyoming 4-13. So San Jose State is above New Mexico, UNLV, Fresno, Colorado State, Air Force, Wyoming in the standings. Tim Miles is my coach of the year.
There's chance on the CBS website, or on the coverage last night, they were giving San Jose State Player of the Year for Omari Moore, who's averaging like 17, 5, and 5.
He's been awesome, yeah.
And Coach of the Miles. Miles. It's like, this team's
The whole
9-8,
award
they're getting
sweep.
Coach of the Year. And yeah, how about that?
Tim Miles will get another job very soon.
Yes. Especially Cal, like down the road in the Bay Area.
Stanford.
Yeah, I think both.
I'm Stanford. I'm hiring Tim Miles. That's for sure. Rivaldo Soares for Oregon, buzzer beater to beat Oregon State. Why did it come down to a buzzer beater? That's a question for Dana Altman and that horrible team. I cannot believe how bad they've been this season. Matthew Cleveland for Florida State beats Miami. This one was awesome because Miami hit a go-ahead bucket with 4 seconds left. Right before that, the home crowd thought it was over. No, sir. Florida State hits the buzzer beater, wins the game. They were down 25 points in the second half. It's the biggest comeback, at least this season, in the ACC. And this stat is incredible. Florida State is now 54-18 in one possession or overtime games since 2011-2012.
It's baffling. I mean, people talked about last year with the Providence team, Cooley, winning close games is a skill. This is clearly a skill. Like this is a big enough sample size, 72 games. I don't feel like it's a couple coin flips that have gone Florida State's way. That is absolutely nuts. Late game execution. And I don't even think of them as like this incredible free throw shooting team, but man, they have won a lot of close games.
Yeah, incredible. And then finally, PJ Bird for Southern had a very cool game winner against Florida A&M. Jim Brooks.
Yeah, it was like a step back crossover, put the guy on the ground, and at a SWAC school, the crowd is like already up on the court. Basically, they're barely sitting in their seats, and so they were like almost rushing the floor after he did this. Just put the guy on the ground, and then the shot actually went in after he had the crossover. It was wild. I haven't seen a true. That was like Kemba Walker's step back at the Madison Square Garden.
Kind of AI-esque.
Yeah, a little bit.
Allen Iverson comparisons. Wow. PJ Bird is Allen Iverson. Says
You're here first.
Yep.
You're here first.
Elsewhere, and we've saw that Eastern Washington no longer undefeated in the Big Sky. In fact, they have dropped 2 in a row. Started 16-0 in the conference, have dropped their last 2. Is momentum a thing going into the conference tournament? I think there's 2 schools of thought to that, actually. It's either a reset button, momentum doesn't matter, or you get hot at the end and it carries through to the tournament. Maybe it's neither. Matt, you shook your head. You don't think it's true.
I don't think it's real, but it's all case by case. Who knows? Yeah, it's a tough way to back test that. But I don't
the
think
odds are very interesting for the Big Sky. We'll discuss that in our conference tournament preview. But based on this, I think they're at least worth noting. We'll get there.
And then finally, Oral Roberts runs the table in the Summit, a perfect 18-0. It's the second straight year a team has gone unbeaten in Summit play. South Dakota State did it last year. A lot of dominance in the Summit, and we'll talk about this conference tournament soon as well. Guys, 3-man thoughts. Matt, did you have anything? Did you want to talk about what you didn't talk about last week? Did you want to skip it and just talk conference tournaments? What do you think?
Yes, I can talk about Darius McGee and Max Asmus and Tyler Perry and all the other fun mid-major guards that are going to maybe show up in a bracket. I'll hit those though as we talk through conference tournaments. But it's funny that I had the Darius McGee, Max Asmus, plug penciled in the day after Darius McGee went absolutely bananas yesterday. I don't know if anyone saw highlights, but like he shoots shots that JJ Redick would shirk at. Like the one he brought up across half court, 8 in the first half. He dribbled up with 10 minutes to go. I think, it was off a rebound. He literally shot it from 35 feet. It was it's like he pushed the ball out like he knew he was going to just pull from 35. It's just an insane shooter. I mean, just next level.
I almost tweeted something last night, Matt, and I was like, it is a good night when both Darius McGee and Antoine Davis have won in their conference tourneys and moved on because let's get them into March. I want as many of these incendiary little dynamos in March as we can get. Kai, quick breaking news before we get into conference tournaments. Ziegler, official torn ACL, out for the tournament, and obviously a while for Tennessee. Huge bummer. Heart goes out to that guy because, man, tearing your ACL is not fun. Rehab stinks. So, going to be a big adjustment period for Tennessee without him because he has been really, really good over the past couple of months.
Mm-hmm. He has indeed. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what Tennessee does in the SEC tournament moving forward. But for now, let's talk conference tournaments. We're going to hit 15 of them. 15 tournaments tipping off between, they already tipped off, or tipping off through our next show, which is next Wednesday. Let's start with the WCC, the biggest name tipping off here. If you're not familiar with the WCC's format, they send their top 2 teams all the way to the semis, and they make their last 4 teams play a gauntlet of 5 games in 6 days for them to win the title. It is the biggest disadvantage to the bad teams and advantage to the good teams you'll find in the country. Matt has always supported that type of format. I actually kind of do too. Maybe not to the extremes the WCC does it, but I like giving the advantage to the good teams. In this case, however, Gonzaga and St. Mary's, they have at-larges, so they're really not in danger of missing the tournament. This format probably should be used more towards lower major conferences. Gonzaga is the heavy favorite. I see St. Mary's as a dog at least one book. Barstool has them plus 120. Matt, your thoughts on this conference? We're going to do one winner, one dark horse in each conference for each guy.
Winner, Gonzaga, and probably the bet I would wager if you're into that sort of thing. Dark horse, I guess BYU. Jim mentioned this earlier. I think everyone is sort of cozied up to LMU as the dark horse because they beat Gonzaga and St. Mary's in the regular season. No one ever does that ever. But Mark Pope as a kind of forgotten about commodity seems like a pretty good wager, and they have some upside indicators in my opinion. I kind of like the way that team is shaping up here.
Yeah, and their schedule isn't crazy. Like they'll have to win, I think it's 4 in 5 days, but they get the day off before the semifinals when they would have to take on the 1 seed St. Mary's. It's not outrageous to get them there, but Gonzaga's my pick. It's going to be Gonzaga St. Mary's in the final. Like it feels pretty foregone. Thought on the format, Kai. I like this format a lot for really one bid leagues, but this kind of hurts the teams who the 3 and the 4 seed are maybe pushing for at larges at times.
Yeah.
And it really, really punishes them here. I like it, but I don't love it for this caliber of league.
Yeah, it's like
the league's gotten better. The league's outgrown the format. That's actually fair. Yes.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
The league has outgrown the format. Exactly. I'm also going to take the Zags in this one. Dark horse, I might go LMU. I'm kind of scared they're on the same side as Gonzaga. That basically ends their hopes, I think. But they've beaten St. Mary's and Gonzaga. If some team is going to do it, that'd be my dark horse pick. Missouri Valley, Arch Madness. Matt and I went to this event several times growing up.
Hey, I did too.
St. Louis,
Not
and Jim
up,
has been there as well. This year, Drake and Bradley are the 2 top seeds, the favorites, if you will, to take home this conference title. Now, interesting about the Valley, it has grown. It got a net gain of 2 teams this offseason. Lost Loyola, brought in UIC, Belmont, and Murray. So it's a 12-team league now. There used to be, I think, 4 teams that got a play-in game, and those 4 teams never won a Missouri Valley title. I think Valpo is the only team that made a final, and that was back in 2021, 2020. A little bit more even playing field this year with 4 teams getting a bye, the other teams playing in a first-round game. For me, guys, I'm going Bradley. I'm trusting my Braves here. They've been impressive defensively. I've liked the way they've played down the stretch. If I'm going dark horse, I'm going Missouri State. They're on the same side. No, are they on the same side as Drake or Bradley? I should probably pull
Missouri
this up.
State. They're down on the 2 seed side with Drake.
They're down with Drake. They've swept Drake this year, so I like them as a dark horse. They might just have Drake's number. If you're a betting man, pretty high odds there to get to the finals. Hedge out, whatever you want to do. Jim.
Yeah, my pick is Drake. I like Bradley, but I don't love them outside of Peoria. I just don't think they're quite as intimidating. They really feed off that energy. Their home road splits are pretty stark, and especially the big win they just got towards the end of the season with the rink mast and 1-3 in the final minute that clinched the title for them. I'm going to pick Drake. Dark horse, Kai, I think that's a decent one. Missouri State, I'll say Belmont because of how strong they've been against that half of the draw. Beaten Indiana State, swept Bradley, I believe, which is kind of nuts to have swept the 1 seed. But Matt, pick is Drake. And I think whoever wins this, I know you wanted to do a little bit of NCAA tournament implications for these leagues. Whether it's Drake, Bradley, or Southern Illinois, one of those teams with the top 60 defense, I think they're going to be an absolute pain in the butt for somebody in the first round of the NCAA tournament.
How big is the drop off in seed if a team not named Drake or Bradley wins? Like say SIU.
I don't think it's that big. I bet they're still a 13.
They're all okay. Like the lowest maybe obviously 14. If Valpo runs through it or something like that, but like if one of the legit contenders wins it, the lowest they probably gets a 13. I see Bradley is the penciled in 12 seed on Bracket Matrix right now. Yeah, Jim, I'm with you. Just this conference is kind of harkened back its old DNA this year. Like I think there's a little more offensive skill than we've seen in the past, but it's still kind of back to its true roots with the best teams. Belmont being the slight exception, maybe that difference in style plays well in this tournament format, but just worth reminding people here are the last 5 tournament winners: Loyola, Bradley, Loyola, Wichita, Northern Iowa. So it's been kind of a concentrated collection of winners there.
Yeah, it's often a high-seeded team that gets the bye to the quarterfinals, doesn't have to deal with the pillow fight, I think they used to call it. I know the A10 calls the opening day the pillow fight. I can't remember if MVC does that as well.
Moving on, Sunbelt time.
Ooh, Kai, sorry. I just want to jump in because Jets Pete asked about it in the chat. Did new teams change the idea of smashing MVC unders? We talked about this in detail on the Action Network Big Bets on Campus pod, so I definitely recommend getting into that. It has not been as strong the last 6 or 7 years as it has been if you go all the way back 15 years. But there's rarely been a year. Actually, there's never been a year where the unders got demolished. So like in the past 15 years, the worst case is like 4 and 5, where you lose a little bit of juice there, one unit. Still probably worth looking at. I don't think the team's changing is too drastic. So I'd still look at the unders and would be leaning towards betting unders in that league.
Yeah, don't bet overs. That's my take here. I don't want to auto bet unders, but don't bet overs.
The Sun Belt is our next conference. This one is already tipped off. We saw Arkansas State beat Coastal and Texas State beat Georgia State in the opening round. So now we still have a situation where 4 teams have buys: Southern Miss, James Madison, Marshall, and Louisiana. All 4 teams very, very good in my opinion. The Sun Belt had a really nice season. The Marshall is the odds-on favorite from the 3 seed, which is interesting because Southern Miss is actually the highest rated team in KenPom. There's many out there, Jim, that think South Alabama has a real shot at winning this conference because they were so hot late in the year. They're the 8 seed going up against App State in the first round. This game's played in Pensacola, so all neutral sites. Who do you like in this conference?
I think I'm going to go with Louisiana. And I was reading our good pal Jordan Majeski's preview of this, and he kind of wrote them off. It's like, all right, their draw is not terrible on this half, but he said of the top 4, that was his least favorite one. I don't fully agree. I mean, maybe the erratic guard play is a problem for them, but they made the title game last year, carried by Jordan Brown and some solid but not elite guards. I think they've got more depth, which helps in this 3 games in 3 days neutral site event, or at least compressed schedule. Marshall being the favorite doesn't sit right with me because they play hyper fast, but only have 6 guys in their rotation. So I don't love that. My pick would definitely be Louisiana, which feels like a betrayal of my Southern Miss squad, Kai. My Eagles, they got it done for me in the regular season. I don't know if I have a super dark horse. I guess I would tend to agree with the South Alabama love, but that's a team that has to win 4 games instead of 3. So I'm not all the way on board. Maybe Old Dominion played well late, beat Marshall, beat Southern Miss, both at home, granted, but 33-1, you could probably do worse than that value, Matt.
I know you like App State, 40-1, the Fighting Dusty Kearns as a semi dark horse candidate. I'm going to go with James Madison to win it. That part of the bracket's pretty brutal, that upper part of the bracket. So if you found your lane in the bottom part, which I believe is just Marshall, correct? That's a good spot to be.
Down in the bottom too.
Louisiana. So James Madison, Southern Miss, South Alabama. Those are my 3 favorite teams. I think they're all clustered in the top of the bracket. I was going to do just to parlay on all 3 of those, or just bet all 3. Not parlay. Sorry,
parlay.
Just bet all 3. They all won. It's a 3-way tie. They're all there. I was going to bet all of them for 1 unit with a plus. One of those teams win, you can make a little profit. So just a little betting portfolio for you.
I'm actually agreeing with Jim here. I like Louisiana to win this as well. You really can't go wrong with the top 4 teams, in my opinion. I don't think App State's my dark horse for the championship. I just want to caution the South Alabama love. App State is really tough in tournament settings because Dustin Kearns is a great coach, and you saw them win this tournament already. I would not give South Alabama an automatic pass to the second round. We'll say that, which I think a lot of people are doing. My dark horse, man, outside of that top 4, I mean, you say Troy, number 5, maybe, but I think one of the top 4 teams is winning it. Can't go wrong, in my opinion.
Who do you think of that top 4? Let's look at it a different way. Has the best chance of beating a power conference 4 seed in the tournament? Now, in the past, I would have said no way to Marshall, Kai, but when they beat Wichita State a few years back, that was still playing this pinball up and down style. So it's not necessarily the team that can grind it out in the half court. Marshall does have the size, athleticism, potential pro prospect, and Kinsey on the wing where they could get it done. I guess that might be my answer.
I think all of them can. Southern Miss, probably my choice.
One at Vandy.
Their talent is high, and their athleticism is very good as well. So I'd probably go.
Jim, they smoked Vandy. Let's make sure we give it its full due. They routed Vandy.
Winner of this league gets 12 or 13, probably. By the way.
Yep.
If it's those top 4 teams. If it's not, then you go down from there. All right, let's head on to the SoCon, and I got my bracket up here somewhere, but Furman is the favorite in this league. I still can't find my SoCon bracket. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yep, Furman's the 1 seed. And in my opinion, their top half of the bracket, pretty light. They play the winner of winner of Mercer Citadel first. Then they'd play Western Carolina or ETSU in the semis. I don't really give a lot of credit to either of those teams. Maybe Western Carolina pulls a punchers or a lucky punch because they can shoot and get hot.
They beat Furman once.
They had beat Furman. That's true. Then Furman beat him by like 40 on the revenge game.
Exactly.
This game is in Asheville, North Carolina. That bottom half of the bracket, Matt, is a murderer's row. Samford, Greensboro. I don't think Stevens is back for Chattanooga, but they're down there. Wofford's down there.
Wofford's good too, yeah.
For me, it's Furman. And my dark horse would be, if you can call a 3-seeded dark horse, Greensboro would be my next choice. I think they have a good shot at winning this as well.
I won't allow that, but I think my dark horse is Mercer. They're not going to get there because they're going to probably lose to Furman, but they just gave Furman a mighty scare in the final stands of the regular season. I think they're just kind of been playing patty cake all year with all the injuries they've had. They're super high ceiling, I think, well coached, pretty talented, got big time size. If there's a team that's going to do 4-4, Mercer would be my pick as a dark horse.
Yeah, the only way I could see somebody real long shot happening is if Jake Stevens plays, and an hour ago reported that he is practicing again. They're not sure if he's going to play in the tournament. They're trying to figure that out. He's coming back from that broken hand, but this is his 5th year. He doesn't have another COVID year after this. Yeah, he's going to do everything he can to play in this. That's sort of why the odds are where they're at. Given their seeding, they're still up there in like the top 3, top 4 of the odds to win, but maybe not crazy if you think that Stevens is going to be able to be close to full strength going with Chattanooga there.
Yep, that's the pick if he's back, in my opinion, as a dark horse. And I hope Furman gets it. Again, Bob Ritchie has not made the tournament yet. Furman hasn't made it since like 1980. So it's been a long time coming for him.
And it really stands out last year, the end of after they lost to the buzzer beater to Chattanooga, the Jean Baptiste one, Bothwell just crumpled to the ground. I mean, he had gotten the game thought to be the game winning bucket, like with 4 or 5 seconds left right before that. He had been fantastic down the stretch. That's why he and Slauson are back. It's to finish the job, so to speak. I think the draw is why Furman is as favored as they are. And I do think that would be my pick as well, but Chattanooga slightly intriguing.
Yeah. Go Furman. Come on.
Go Furman.
In the Colonial, the CAA, 11 teams. So there is a play-in game for 2 of them. That's Hampton and Monmouth. They will be playing on Friday. The rest
13 teams here.
13 teams. 2, 4, 6, 8. Do only 11 make the tournament? Oh, 4 teams have buys. Kai, do some math, buddy. 13 teams. Hampton and Monmouth are playing a play-in. They have to win 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games in 5 days. That's not happening. This tournament's in DC. Hofstra, Wilmington, Charleston, Towson are the buys. Hofstra did win this tournament, the regular season, Matthew, but it was a tie with Charleston technically. Who you got? Who's your dark horse? Who's your favorite?
Going with Charleston. I still think the best team in this conference, even though I've probably been stubbornly ignoring how awesome Hofstra's been. They haven't played like a bad game in forever. They beat everyone by 20, it seems like lately. Dark horse, NCANT, kind of a talented team. Oddly feisty at times. I kind of like NCANT there. That's my deep dark horse.
All right, Jim.
I'm picking Charleston. I know, like Matt said, Hofstra has been rolling, but I just believe a little bit more in Charleston. And despite them being somewhat erratic in games, the depth is certainly advantageous in an event like this. They really can use their bench quite a bit. It's tough to do dark horse here because this is about as stark a drop off between like the top 6 or 7 teams and the bottom 6 or 7. Like the bottom 6 or 7 are all bottom 50 teams in the country. So I'm not really going to go to bat for any of them. Maybe Delaware, if they're healthy again. They've got the talent in the top 5, but Jair Davis has been in and out of the lineup. Owen's in and out. Ebby Asamoah has been in and out of the lineup. So they need all hands on deck to actually make the run. I don't really think they will. Like I said, it's Charleston's event for me.
I also like Charleston, and that's biased. I'm rooting for them. I want to see Charleston in the tournament. If they win this, an 11 seed is not outside the possibility with their net and their resume. They could get there, most likely a 12. If Hofstra wins, they could get on the 12, probably a 13. If anybody else wins, they're probably a 13, depending on the other leagues. I'm going Delaware as well, Jim, for my dark horse because of the talent. Jameer Nelson Jr. is arguably, well, not say the best, one of the best players in this league. Place point for them. Jair Davis, one of the best players in the league. They were there last year. I think they represented this conference last year, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yep, correct.
So that would be my dark horse pick, the Delaware Hens.
Kai, if Charleston gets to 30 wins and loses in the title game, do we want them in just as a
Yes.
Yes, we want them in. Do they get
Yes.
in because of their 30 wins?
I think there's no way you keep them out of the tournament if they have 30 wins.
Yeah, I mean, it's
It would
such
set
an easy,
terrible precedence, I think.
yeah, just like if you're in a mid-major league, you can't get there. Like,
Yeah,
right.
30-4, sorry, not good enough for us. I don't want to see that. I don't want to live in that world, but I would just prefer Charleston win, make it, leave no doubt.
And they've played one Q1 game. You can say that's bad. You can also say, hey, they've had one chance to beat a Q1 team. And that's all they had. The Big 12 team had 20 chances to do it. And they, go down that rabbit hole. But I hope they make it if they get 30 wins. Yeah. Even 29 wins, 28 wins, put them in. All right. Summit League. Oral Roberts, like we said, guys, ran the table in this conference, 18-0. And about every single other team in this league was down this year. Fell below preseason expectations. I'm trying to think of a team that exceeded them. Maybe Western Illinois exceeded expectations, maybe St. Thomas, but otherwise it's a down league.
I'd
Now,
say St. Thomas. Yeah, I agree with that.
South Dakota State and North Dakota State are both kind of rolling right now, Jim, from a momentum perspective, if you really want to go away from Oral Roberts, but I'm taking the Golden Eagles. There is no chance a team outside of that top three wins it. So a dark horse pick would be South Dakota State or North Dakota State.
Yeah, I'm not even going to pick a dark horse. It's Oral Roberts. They're the best team. I think they roll to it. You have the best player, a coach who definitely knows what he's doing. You have the most talent. They have enough offensive weaponry that it's not like one or two guys having a bad day could lead to a letdown. It's Oral Roberts. I'm actually a little bit surprised the odds are only like minus 190 at FanDuel, and I'm seeing like I'll probably be betting Oral Roberts either solo or putting them in a parlay with somebody.
I'm kind of interested in the new Jack Bunnies who are healthy and trending up.
Ish.
The problem is that Oral Roberts is so good. Like you put a normal Oral Roberts team, even the Oral Roberts that made the tournament 2 years ago, like that Oral Roberts versus this.
They were a 4 seed in that Summit tournament.
Yeah, put that caliber team up, or just a normal top seed, not like a freaking awesome Oral Roberts team against this South Dakota State version right now. I'd probably take the Jack Bunnies, but I just can't bet against Oral Roberts. They're too good.
Oral Roberts is a lock for a 12 seed if they make the tournament. If anybody else wins, we're talking 15 or 16 seed, most likely. For the Jack Bunnies even would be a 15. North Dakota State might even be a 16. The Horizon League is where we go next. This game is hosted by the home teams yesterday. So we already tipped off with Robert Morris beating Iwipui, Wright State beating Green Bay, Detroit beating Purdue Fort Wayne. Now it shifts to Indianapolis, I believe. Oh wait, actually we have one more day of higher seeds hosting. So one more day of home teams, then it goes to Indianapolis for the semis and beyond. Youngstown State, the Penguins, were the surprise winners of this league. But as I said on a different podcast, Matt, the 1 seed has won one time in this conference in the past 6 seasons. So it's usually a very wide open league. And I think it will be this year as well. Who do you got?
I want to take Oakland. I do. I want to take my guy, Greg Campy and Jalen Moore.
5 seed. Oakland 5
They're
seed.
literally like the walking wounded, and they have to win how many games in how many days. It's just a tough ask, man.
3-3.
3-3. Oh,
Well,
yeah, that's right. They don't
not
have
3 days. One and then a huge break to the semis.
It's a huge, so that day off is actually enormous. I might take Oakland 25-1. That's my dark horse right there. Boom. Grizz, talented, healthier, although not all the way
Is that
healthy.
your pick too?
Pick and dark
pick
horse.
is
Look at you.
Pick is Youngstown. Like I finally just realized that their talent and their depth. And Calhoun's a great coach. I don't like that they don't really play defense sometimes, but I think they just choose not to when they're up 13 or 15, which they usually are in this league.
My pick is Northern Kentucky. I think they get some revenge after last year, getting all the way to the title game, being up like 14 on Wright State in the championship. I don't know if I can call Wright State a dark horse, Kai, but I do like the offensive upside of them.
Sure
they have arguably the best freshman in this league. Name is escaping me. Brandon Noel. He's been fantastic. I think he's going to win freshman of the year, but Northern Kentucky, tricky zone, tough to prepare for. It's been pretty consistently solid in this event. I'm going to go with the Norse.
Yep. NKU is always good in this event. They were also supposed to be, they're my preseason pick to win the league. They brought everyone back pretty much from last season. They have a lot of talent. I like NKU as well. They're my pick. The dark horse, I agree. Wright State, they always do well in this tournament, and they're a 7 seed. I think they beat Milwaukee. I think they can hang with Youngstown. Their offense is so good, and Nagy, their coach, has been here before. It's kind of like no big deal for him to be in this event. So that's where I'm leaning. Jim and I are pretty aligned on that one.
Kind of crazy to see them plus 500 as the 7 seed. Like
Yeah.
that's not a, you don't think of that as awesome value, but that there's a reason they're priced that way.
Indeed. All right, Big Sky time. We talked about how Ewash is not undefeated anymore. They dropped their last 2 games, but they're still the 1 seed in this event. This the bracket is very strange, but it's actually pretty it's interesting. Interesting indeed. Okay, I'm just looking at this. Okay. So this tips off on Saturday with NAU, Idaho, Portland State, Northern Colorado. All these games are in Boise, by the way. So if you're really an Idaho State or an Idaho guy, maybe you like the in-state there. Ewash and Montana State, the top 2 seeds, then play on Sunday. Then the 4-5 and the 3-6 games play on Monday. So those quad teams, those foursome, they have to play a back-to-back. They play again on Tuesday. The top 2 seeds, Ewash, Montana State, get a day off. And they play again on Tuesday as well for the winners of those 4-5, 3-6 games. For my money, it's Montana State, Jim. That's who I'm taking in this league. They're the best team. They proved it against Ewash in their last game. Dark horse, Sacramento State for me. A lot of talent. They play gritty, gross basketball, can bring teams in the mud. I'd take them.
Yeah, I'll be picking Montana State again as well. 2 seed, but is actually the best team. Like you said, final day of the season, they were up double digits most of the way at Eastern Washington. Now, granted, no incentive for Ewash in that game other than pride. Like they had already won the league outright, clinched the 1 seed, probably not wanting to get anybody injured. There's at least that diciness to it. But I just think Montana State's the better squad. They've got Raekwon Battle, who I think is the best perimeter player in the league, capable of going off in a tournament setting when you really need some breakout scoring. That also helps compensate for Bello, their big man, being kind of their best player. And I don't always love that, but Battle, I think, just has the upside. From an actual dark horse, I'll stubbornly say Northern Colorado because of the individual talent, especially on the perimeter. The defense is bad, but maybe you get a little bit more of a high effort communication unit in a postseason. I just know that they can score, Matt. So that's at least why I mentioned them as a dark horse. What I'm seeing like 32 to 1-ish.
Yeah, I took Northern Arizona as my dark horse last year. I think I was getting 100 to 1 or something absurd. And they lost to Ewash by 3 in the opening round. They actually played really well. I almost took them down. And like, if you get that win, then the C's part, because as Kai mentioned, you win, you get like that weird 2-day break because then the middle seeds have to play. I hate how this is structured. They overthought this. Like, this is really stupid. But anyway, I like Ewash. I'm sorry. I think the regular season thing was very real. I think Montana State was my initial take, but I've watched Ewash the last few games. I think their versatility is just is tough to handle. I think in that game against Montana State, if we see that matchup, probably be on the over. I don't think either team can stop the other. So
can I push back on the format? I like this format for the high seeds, allowing them
for the high seeds. But the problem is like it kind of assumes the high seeds win, so it screws the seeds that are higher 4, 5, 6, 7 if one of those teams don't win, because then it gives like a break to the underseeded 8, 9, 10, 11. So like the scales
take care of business. I'm fine.
Yeah.
with that.
Okay. Fine. That's fine.
I think it generally, like if you're a 1 seed and you can't beat the 8 seed, well, you don't get the day off. If you're the 8 seed and you do, okay, enjoy the fruits of your spoils, but you stunk all year. So you have to a much harder quarterfinal. I like that. I like one team has to play back to back and the top seeds don't.
Going back to the Horizon really quick, they have not won a tournament game since Butler went to the championship in 2011. Kind of a fun fact. Fun fact there. Yeah, I would not bet on a Horizon team in the first round. They've gotten killed the last few years, anecdotally. I said my choice in the Big Sky. We are moving on to the A-Sun, a tournament that has already started and is in fact in the semifinals.
Liberty.
Yes, Liberty is the heavy favorite. They're the 2 seed. They did not technically win. They split the league with Kennesaw State, who almost lost to Queens. These games are at the higher seeds home gym. So Liberty is hosting Eastern Kentucky, who smoked North Alabama on Tuesday, and Kennesaw State is hosting Lipscomb. Liberty's my choice here. There's 4 teams left in this conference. My dark horse is Lipscomb. I think Kennesaw is vulnerable, Matt, but it's Liberty, I think, for me.
Yeah, I guess Liberty. Fine. They just looked. I've kind of doubted their dominance all year. Like, can they really be this good? Like, it's like,
Yes.
yeah, they are. They're playing like a Big Ten team. Like, they're rated in the middle of the Big Ten, or not, maybe not that high, but pretty damn close. Like, they're all the way legit. So, yeah, I go Liberty.
Yep, it's Liberty. I know they lost at Kennesaw once this year, but I watched that game. They were dominating it until the final 5 minutes. And then Kennesaw did not have Liberty didn't get a stop. So Kennesaw didn't have an empty possession for the final 5 minutes. It was outrageous. They made some crazy shots, really locked in on offense. I don't think Liberty's defense collapses like that again. I think Mr. McGee's on a mission. I think the best coach in the league is McKay, despite how well Abdul Rahim has done at Kennesaw. Would guess we see that final again. Kai, I think if EKU is playing Kennesaw, I'd pick that upset. I'd say EKU, who is a young team that is trending up, I could say they roll past Kennesaw, but since they've got Liberty, I'm not going to pick any upsets. I think Liberty gets it done in the revenge spot once again at Kennesaw.
All right, going to the America East. 8 teams in this bracket. The higher seed hosts. Vermont is the heavy favorite in this league for good reason. Matthew, your takes in this one. By the way, Bryant, the new team in this conference, 6 seed. 6 seed.
8-8. I know. Got beat by Maine on a buzzer beater. I kind of like Bryant. Feels like
boy,
super talented, high upside, maybe mailed it in late. I don't know. Betting against Vermont, though, in this format's never a good idea. I guess if you want to go dark horse, it's for sure Bryant's because of the talent. They had injuries throughout the regular season. But I guess I go Vermont.
Yeah, I'm picking Vermont. I have no interest in Bryant. I think that team is weirdly broken, did not come together. The style, sure, it can be tough to deal with because they have depth and athleticism, but it wasn't tough to deal with this year. They went 8-8 in this league. I don't know how you only go 8-8 with that talent level. Sorry, a little bit of shade towards Grasso, who's done a great job, but I think it's Vermont. I'll take Lowell in the final, Kai, because I don't fully believe in New Hampshire. Don't have a great read on a potential dark horse, maybe the UMBC, the Retrievers. I do think they have a little bit of upside, played fairly well late down the stretch, but they're on Vermont's half the bracket, which doesn't excite me. So taking Vermont.
Vermont as well. UMBC, dark horse. I know it's not the exact same coach, but they have success recently in this conference tournament, and they did give Vermont a pretty good game. At least once I watched them. Both games were actually pretty good. They played them close. So if you want to take a dark horse there, UMBC, otherwise Vermont for me. Moving on to the Big South, guys, who tips off today with High Point, Charleston Southern, Campbell, and Presbyterian, Matt's Blue Hose. This is all in Charlotte at the Bojangles Coliseum. UNC Asheville is the 1 seed, but Longwood is the favorite in betting markets by a hair. Opposite sides of the bracket. Matt, who's your winner? Who's your dark horse?
Kind of like G-Web. Chat seems to like G-Web. I like Gardner-Webb. Tim Kraft's been good in this format before. I think the right play, though, is just roll with the favorite, UNC Asheville. I mentioned this before. Drew Pember and the Asheville, what are they? What's their mascot? The
Bulldogs.
Bulldogs, that's right.
Bulldogs. They won the conference by 4 games.
Yeah, they pulled away late. Like Radford kind of fell off. Gardner-Webb kind of fell off. Longwood sort of swooned.
There's a lot of landmines for a while. It was Longwood, right? and that has been flipped. The market has taken an Asheville position. Yeah,
I think Asheville's they have the best player. They're a pretty complete team as well, and I think that Drew Pember remembers last year when they got stunned by Charleston Southern in the first round. I think they're out for a little bit of out for some vengeance, refocused, reinvigorated. I like the Bulldogs.
Yeah, not interested in Radford. Their coach is out with the DUI. Actually, we don't know for sure if he's going to coach or not, but that really dilutes any interest I would have in that 3 seed in Radford. So I think it probably comes down to Asheville Longwood, Kai, even though I do like Gardner-Webb. Asheville's just rolling. They've got the best player in the league. I will give them the slightest of nods. Sorry, Longwood.
I'm going Longwood. Longwood is my choice here in the Bojangles Coliseum.
I will say, I think whoever wins this league gets nuked in the NCAA tournament.
Yep, just like last year when Longwood got destroyed by Tennessee. Longwood has so much athleticism, and Griff Aldridge, what a coach. I mean, to do what he's done at this program is truly impressive. My dark horse is USC Upstate. Here's who they beat. UNC Asheville, Longwood, Gardner-Webb, Radford. That's the other top 4 seeds in the bracket. They beat them all. USC Upstate 6-1 the last 7 games. It would also be a great story too for Dave Dickerson. So I would lean towards USC. I would take USC Upstate as a dark horse. They got to get by Asheville. They got to get by Gardner Webb. If you want a long shot, that's who I'd take. Longwood is my choice though overall. All right, 4 more here. The Patriot League, Colgate, heavy favorites. Should we expect anybody else to come out of this conference, Jim?
No, it is Colgate's league. Navy came on fairly strong. Yeah. Navy came on fairly strong late in the year, but I mean, Colgate won this league by 6 games. They barely had games that were single digits most of the year. Got a little bit sloppy late. Last 2 games, they were they only won by 4, but they were kind of resting some dudes. Ryan Moffett didn't play. I think Colgate maybe not dominates their way to the title, Matt, but feel pretty comfortable that the Raiders will be coming out of it. Dark horse, if I had to give one, I guess is American, the only team that beat them. But man, I'm not enthused about it.
Yeah, it's American for me as a dark horse. I mean, 40-1. They've already beat Bucknell, looked pretty good in that game from what I saw. And Navy as the number 2 seed. They're who's their best player? Yoder, I think, is questionable for this tournament. I know Jordan Majeski talked about that. That's pretty huge. Just at the value, I like American as a dark horse. But yeah, Colgate's built to dominate this league. It's what they've done all year. If they've done the last few years, I think they do it again this year.
It's got to be Colgate. I'd probably agree on American as a dark horse just because this team has a lot of talent and they were really good to start the year. Like really good. I have no idea what happened in Patriot play. They really fell off. I really have no answers for you. I can't explain it. Like they beat Georgetown in non-con. They were really good at the start of conference play, then they just fell off. I don't know. They'd be my dark horse pick. Lehigh, I would consider as well. I think any team is a dark horse outside of Colgate. So Lehigh would be a choice as well. I don't think Lafayette has a chance without Mike Jordan. Their coach is, I think, still suspended from the program. I'm not entirely sure there.
Yeah, dude. Investigation into something. They haven't been totally upfront about what it is, but yeah.
Yeah. In the Southland, we go. I do not have the filled out bracket here, but this is also one of those leagues that gives a lot of advantage to their top 2 seeds. So number 1, number 2, Corpus Christi
and Northwestern State are the
Corpus Christi and Northwestern State will get buys all the way to the semifinals, have to win 2 games in 2 days. This league only sends, I think, 8 teams to the conference tournament. So they leave out, well, only 2 teams this year because the league went down. I like Northwestern State, Matt. I know you probably do as well, but Corpus Christi pretty much rolled this conference tournament last year. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Northwestern State's the obvious pick. I'm going with them. I mean, Nichols is weird to me. Like I've kind of felt like they there's been a lot of teams that I thought there'd be more of a chasm between the haves and the have-nots in this league, but everyone kind of got caught in the mumble jumble. I like Northwestern State though. I think just their talent's too much.
Yeah, Nichols is too injured for me. Pierce Spencer, Manny Littles, Micah Thomas, all been out recently, like key pieces for them. I can't really trust them here. I'm going to go with Corpus Christi, though. Northwestern State, I know, has the kind of maybe the highest ceiling, but Corpus Christi won this last year, got a fair amount back from that team. I'm going to ride with the Islanders, Kai, and their beautiful colors, the jersey combination. Big fan of the Corpus Christi Islanders.
Yeah, boy, it's a tough choice. It's got to be Corpus Christi or Northwestern State. You just can't take a team outside these top 2 because of the bracket format. If you're looking to bet from a future perspective and in a pick a pool perspective, in my opinion, you could go outside of it. Nicholls State certainly has the talent to win it, but I think it's those top 2. I think Selah is in place for the 3 seed right now. I think it's still in play though. There's a couple games left.
They're not done playing yet. Exactly. 1 game left.
I'm probably taking Corpus Christi. I think I trust them a lot more in this setting. Yeah.
We're Island Boys, Kai.
That'll be a coin flip. Island Boys. I hate that video. All right. Ohio Valley is the next one we're talking about. This tournament is all in Evansville, Indiana, and it tips off today on Wednesday, March 1st with SEMO and Lindenwood and SIUE in Southern Indiana. Again, this tournament heavily favors the top 2 seeds. Morehead and Tennessee Tech have buys to the semifinals. Tennessee State and UT Martin are already in the quarterfinals. Jim, your winner and dark horse.
It's lame, but because they're in the semis, because they're the only team that's comfortable playing in the half court, I'm going with Morehead State. The odds aren't great. I don't know if betting on them really is anything I would advise, but They might have the best player in Mark Freeman, and they've started to figure out their interior defense, which after losing Janai Broom to Auburn, it was like, okay, how are they going to figure this out? But I believe Gross is an NAIA transfer, and he's been awesome, giving them a true post presence, great rebounder, shot blocker. I like Moorhead. I just think that they're the best squad. Dark horse, it's either SIUE or SEMO, and Matt's going to tell you why it's SIUE, I'm sure.
Could be either. Yeah, I think people will see SIUE lost when they listen to this podcast on Thursday, and then everything I say from this point on will be moot. But SIUE is really good. I don't understand what happened in the last few months. I really don't. And SEMO can score with anyone. My God, like their offense is prolific. But yeah, Jim mentioned, I think the fact that defense wins in a league where offense is the overwhelming dominant force. We've seen that in the Summit with how North Dakota State had their success for so many years in that conference tournament. I think that similar narrative, that parallel can hold true here with Moorhead. So I'll go with Moorhead.
Moorhead for sure. I think they're by far the best team in this conference. And they're already in the semis. UT Martin, like Pat just said in the chat, is my dark horse. They are the 3 seed. But they arguably have the best backcourt in the league with Parker Stewart, with KJ Simon, Jordan Sears. So that'd be my take as well. Yeah.
Ty, what do you think of Majeski having Southern Indiana as his dark horse because of their shot making?
Well, shot making and the fact that it's in Evansville, that's where Southern Indiana is located. I like USI Today. I'll say that. Sorry to Matthew Cox's best bet on the show.
Hell?
Yeah, I think the crowd's going to do something for him. And plus, these new teams, man. I mean, we've only seen A-Sun right now, but they've done well in the tournament so far. Whether that means anything or not, probably not. It's interesting, nonetheless. By the way, yes, to the guy in the chat, whoever wins this conference is playing in the play-in game. It's pretty much foregone conclusion. 16 seed, unless something weird happens. All right, we're going to the NEC to finish us off here. 8-team bracket, all at higher seeds. So the home team throughout could be Merrimack, a team that is not eligible for the NCAA tournament, despite winning the league for the second time in 4 years. Fairleigh Dickinson's the 2 seed down at the bottom, but the best team in KenPom is Wagner, Jim, by just a nose. They're the 5 seed. This tournament kicks off today. Who's your winner? Who's your dark horse?
This is the first time Merrimack's been good and able to play in it, because when they won it their first year, when they won the regular season, their first year up, they weren't allowed to play in the tournament. I think they win it, and obviously that's exciting times for Fairleigh Dickinson. But just how good they've been over the past couple of weeks, now that they've been healthy, their freshman guards, Bennett and Derkak, have gotten very used to the style or the Division I level, and their defense, I think, is a little bit hard to learn because it's that weird concrete mixer, I believe Majeski calls it, of a zone. It's hard to figure out for offenses and for team or for guys that have to play it. So I would go with Merrimack there. Sleepers Wagner, because the defense is that solid. It's not an awesome draw for them. They're going to have to, I think, win almost every game on the road, but that would be the dark horse if I had to pick one, Matt. I still ride with Merrimack to win it.
Yeah, shouts to, I think, Ryan Peters, or who did the NEC breakdown I read that was very good? Jordan Majeski retweeted.
Probably Ryan Peters, Pioneer Pride.
I think it was Ryan Peters, Pioneer Pride. Thank you. Does great work out there. Highlighting Devin Savage's recent run, and the guys hit, what is that, 16 of his last 25 threes, absolute fireball for Merrimack. Like, they actually have some real pieces. I'm kind of worried about kind of poo-pooing Merrimack as maybe a fade first round. I do have money today on LIU. I think it's Merrimack. I think they're like...
You took LIU?
Yeah, I took LIU.
God, betting LIU at any moment is brave. They're last in like every metric in the world, in the country.
We'll see how it goes.
Home teams in the NEC, I just did a quick calc, 46 and 59 against the spread. So it is one of the worst home court leagues in the country. So this tournament format doesn't really scare me. My pick is Fairleigh Dickinson. I think they're going to get there. They have the best offense in this league. I think Merrimack's best team right now, but I think they could be the best team in this conference. The dark horse has to be Wagner. They've beaten Merrimack on the road already. They can do it again. And their defense, like Jim said, is legit, second best in the league behind Merrimack. So that's the dark horse for me. All right, fellas. Woo! We just ran through 15 conference tournaments. We will hit the rest next week. that will probably some already tip off. Will be in
Yeah, some will have tipped a little, like
in
the
transit.
game 1 or 2. Yep.
But yes, thank you for joining us. If you were live, if you were not, thanks for listening on the podcast airwaves. We're back most likely at the same time next week on Wednesday around 1:30 Central. March, baby. The tournament's almost here. Take care. We'll see you next time.
We're off.